I'm Michael Bain, and welcome to Triggered, brought to you as always by Midway USA, just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors, and coming to you this week from the Fort Worth Convention Center in the Free Republic of Texas, where we're there for the U.S. Concealed Carry Association Expo and training event. A lot of you who've been following me for a while know that I'm a big fan of USCCA. Tim Schmidt, the director and old friend, has done an amazing job with, in many ways, rethinking firearms training and pushing it out, which is a very important thing to do. So in this Triggered, we're going to touch on a few things at the Expo, a couple of guns that caught my eye, and a couple of people you need to meet, including Mr. Schmidt. First up, though, a new Beretta. We're here at the Beretta booth with Annette Evans, who knows a lot about dry firing. Don't let anybody lie to you. She wrote the book. Annette, you've been working with this new Beretta. Talk me through this gun. This is Beretta's entry in the itsy-bitsy 9mm market.
Well, that's actually a little bit of a misnomer because it's not their entry, it's their improvement into the micro. So this is the Apx A1 Carry, and Beretta's had the Apx Carry before, but this is an improvement on it, responding to what consumers like you wanted with the gun. So here's some of the things that they've added to it. Let's go with the little things. They've improved the grip texture a little bit easier to hang on to, a little bit less for your hands to slip off of. They've changed the serrations a little bit on the slide so it's easier to rack the slide. But some of the really cool stuff that they've done to it is it is now red dot ready. So there's a plate that comes off, and you can, when you register your gun with Beretta, they'll send you a plate that matches the optic that you want to put on the gun.
It's great.
So you can have that red dot for those aging eyes, or just to make it a little easier to make those harder shots. And the other thing that they've done is the Apx Carry has always had a double action only trigger. And Michael, you and I were talking about how that's fantastic for concealed carry. They've improved that trigger a little bit. It's still about that 5.5, 6.5 pounds. It's still long, but it's so much smoother. It's so easy to shoot. It just rolls right through. I'm actually really excited about it. You know, everybody's looking at me like, why? But it lets me change my mind when I'm in the middle of shooting somebody, so maybe they don't need to get shot.
It's a critical point. It's something we've talked about here with a lot of people, is it's not just how quickly you can get on the trigger. Sometimes it depends on how quickly you can get off the trigger as to whether you get to go to prison or not.
Right. So between, that improved trigger that still, has those safety features in it, and the red dot readiness, that means that I am able to make the hard shots, and I'm able to make the hard decision not to make the shot. So Beretta Apx A1 Carry, we've improved on the Apx Carry. I'm really excited to see this hit the market.
Have you gone to a red dot on your carry gun yet?
I have.
Oh, wow.
I know, you're shocked.
I am a lot shocked. I thought you would be the last holdout in it.
So the biggest problem for me right now is concealment with the red dot. So, when I carry a full-size carry gun, I can't quite do it. But I've actually downsized my carry gun a little bit to put the dot on.
See, I told you dots were a good idea.
They are a great idea. I haven't argued that. I think they're a wonderful idea. I think they make it a lot easier to not have to think about lining up all the little bumpy things with the thing that you want to shoot. You literally just point and click. You put the dot on the thing you want to shoot and roll through that trigger.
I think one thing that's happened with the miniature 9, double stack 9 market is that the gun makers have finally figured out how to make a gun that people actually have wanted now for the last 30 years, and nobody's been paying all that much attention. Why don't you want a Walther PPK? No, we went. But I think with this gun, you're starting to see a gun that works in a lot of different size hands, because your hands are tiny.
They are tiny, and I'm finding that this is very shootable for my hands. It fits in my hands well. And the other thing that with these is, like the other APXs, this has a removable chassis system, so you can change the grip model, which means not only can you get the different colors, which we all know is extremely important, you can also, go to the aftermarket and say, hey, I actually want it to be even more aggressive, or is there something we can do with the grip to make it smaller or larger, and you're not going to potentially ruin the serialized part of your firearm doing that.
I think that's great, and thanks for taking the time out, because I know you've got to schmooze.
Of course, that's what I'm here for, schmooze with people like you.
Annette, as always, great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
some years back, I sat down for lunch with a young man who wanted to bounce an idea off of me, and it was this spectacular idea of reaching out for concealed carry people for training, and it was as if he wanted to build an entire planet. And I thought, well, it's a heck of an idea, but who could ever accomplish that? I'd like you to meet Tim Schmidt, who, congratulations, you did in fact accomplish it.
Michael, thank you very much. That's very kind. I was just explaining to a few of my folks that I said, I remember meeting Michael Bain in 2006, and he was one of the guys that was really nice to me when no one else was.
It was an accident. But you know, you're doing so well now, but what I wanted to ask you about is we are now looking at a flood of new people coming into our culture. And honestly, the whole bulk of that flood are potential concealed carriers. That's what they're here for.
Right.
How has that changed your view of what you're doing?
I would say fundamentally it hasn't changed it too much. However, there's a rub here. So there's stats that say in 2020 over 5 million new gun owners in America, and just thus far in 2021, like almost 4 million. We're talking almost 10 million new gun owners. But guess what, Michael? Only 23.6% of those people that bought the guns signed up for any sort of training. And so what that's had me focus 100% on is we need to offer simple education and training so that we turn these gun owners into responsibly armed citizens.
One of the issues that we've always had in the past, though, is we create a product and then we wander out to see if anybody actually wants that product, as opposed to tailoring that product for these, for example, for the new people coming in.
Right.
Because they're not like me. I'm Gen 1 gun, old school. They're not. So how are you retailoring your product to make sure you've got the right message to bring them on board?
Yep, so the way we do that, we literally do it the same way that software is developed. We come out with a very rough idea of a product called a minimum viable product, an MVP, and then we talk to focus groups. We talk to the customers and we ask them, what do you like about this? What don't you like about this? We're literally developing an app right now called the Protector Academy, the USCCA Protector Academy, that's just like an online streaming version of world-class firearms training. Now, by no means does this replace going to the range with professional instructors. No, it simply augments it, but it helps people get into a regular habit of training. Because as I'm sure you'll tell me, firearms training is just like bathing. Best results when done on a regular basis.
That's very true. But I think the whole thing is we have other tools now, and you guys are taking advantage of that. You know, I see every time I get material from you, which is on a regular basis, which is absolutely as it should be, you're always on the cutting edge. And the magazine is super, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I take pride in the fact that I've been able to surround myself with people significantly smarter than I am. And however, even though they're smarter, they have just the same passion for creating responsibly armed Americans. And at the end of the day, that's what our mission's all about. I have an even bigger mission, which is I want to change the way that our country feels about firearms ownership. I want everyone to understand that firearms ownership is not about the gun. No, it's about the results of being well trained. It's about stopping crime. It's about avoiding danger, keeping your loved ones safe. Now, when I say those three things, stopping crime, avoiding danger, keeping your loved ones safe, everybody wants that.
Absolutely.
Everyone. I don't care if you're red or blue or what.
And I think that's important. You know, one of the things that we need to do to bring these new gun owners in is to make sure they train. Because it's, after years of doing this, it's the hardest thing in the world.
Yep.
Is people will say, I can spend $1,000 on a gun, $300 on a holster. But training, is there anything I can just learn on YouTube? So thanks for all you've done.
My pleasure.
What size are you at this point? I mean, a billion, zillion, or
Well, so in 2012, just 9 years ago, my goal was to reach 1 million members. We've surpassed 600,000. We're closing in on 700,000. At the rate we're going, we will hit 1 million by the end of 2022, which is exciting. And sometimes I pinch myself because when I set that goal, we had less than 25,000 members. So it's amazing.
Key point: you built a better mousetrap.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, absolutely. It's
thank
exciting to be here in Fort Worth with you guys, and keep up the good work.
My pleasure. Thanks for all you do as well.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Keith, Century Arms has been selling Caniks for a few years here, but it seems like in the last year, all of a sudden, they're turning up everywhere. I'm seeing them at USPSA matches and competitions. talk about this new version.
Well, we have the new Mete series. This is the Mete SFX model. It comes with a 20-round mag, just like your old Tp9 SFX, but it has a lot more little features hidden into the gun. You have a double undercut trigger guard there to bring your hand up higher on the pistol, get your grip higher up. Another design was a redesign on the beaver tail too. So a lot of people say it feels a little smaller in their hands. It's not as big. They also have the new RMRC cut for the optics. So all the new popular optics that are coming out will fit right on here. And one of the other features, it will keep the rear sight on the pistol.
That's a neat setup, because a lot of the smaller guns, you pop the plate and you also pop the rear sight.
Correct, and that way you can't co-witness. If your optic goes down, you don't have your irons to back it up. The other feature we have is a magazine well that you could attach to the pistol. So it comes in the box, you could have it on or off, and it will come with a 18-round magazine. You have a speed loader, the holster, you could have outside the waistband or in the inside. One of the other cool features a lot of people ask about is that little pistol right there.
It's the 22 that comes with it, right?
I wish. That would be awesome. It's a little cooler than that. It holds a toolkit. So that way, you're at the range, you need to pop that optic off and put your plate back on. If you're running a different competition that's not using an optic, you have that little tool there with the wrench attachment right there in the case.
So this is some really aggressive design coming out of Turkey. It's like there's feedback coming back from you guys in the United States, and then the factories over there are actually building guns to what you'd say an American shooter is looking for.
Just like what you said there. This was the SFX from years ago. Everyone went crazy over it. We had a lot of feedback about having an ambidextrous slide release. Little things like that, they came and incorporated into the new models.
Also, your carry gun there is an interesting little gun.
This one is our Tp9 Elite Sub Compact. It will come, we have a package deal where it comes with a shield optic or without it. It has a 12-round magazine with a little finger lip there, and you also have the 15-round, which is a little longer, so that way it helps guys with a little bigger grip on there.
See, the thing that really is striking about these guns, you're looking at all these features and functions, and the fact is the Turkish gun industry has been making guns pretty much since there were guns. They go back a long way. The price points here are very, very reasonable.
Oh, yes. For this package here, our suggested retail is about $575, which, if you look, it's insane how you could get a package like that. You could go to the competition that day with the gun right out of the box.
I think that's really great, and it's great to see them like evolving like this. You know, I've heard nothing but good things about the brand in the last year.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Volquartz and Firearms, excellence is essential. Taurus USA, prepare and protect. Rock Island Armory Arms Corps, home of the STK 100. Welcome back to Triggered from the Fort Worth Convention Center and the USCCA Expo and Training event. Beth Alcazar has been teaching firearms for 20 years and has had a disproportionate effect on the training field. Working with USCCA now, she's the author of one of their landmark books, Handguns and Self-Defense Fundamentals. She's also the associate editor of the magazine, writes a regular column, and is a great person to be around. Meet Beth.
Recording with him. Beth, let's talk about USCCA training, which in a lot of ways has altered the entire training landscape. I think it's fair to say.
I like that.
It's yours now.
Yeah. You know, when I came on board or I started to look into the USCCA, that was what was really important to me, was the passion for training and education, maybe in a different way, not just the same old, but to really look at timely information, to look at appealing information. I mean, even our textbooks look like coffee table books.
Right.
which is visually appealing, but guess what? We like stuff that looks pretty. As human beings, we're drawn to that, so it was a different approach. It was a unique approach, and obviously it was a successful approach because we were able to attract people and bring them into the world of firearms in a different way, and maybe a more fun way. You can still have fun with guns.
Why can't you?
Right.
Absolutely.
And with training.
I think one of the geniuses here with the thing that's done with USCCA is it is looking at it as if it was fun, and even training.
Well, I think people are going to be more relaxed and they're going to be more receptive if they are having some fun, if there is some enjoyment. Granted, we do deal with a lot of serious and important topics. I mean, it could be a life or death situation.
Sure.
It really could be an opportunity to save your family from a terrible threat. But that doesn't mean that it's all serious and it's all sad or it's all depression, because people are going to learn better if they're enjoying themselves. And if you throw a game in there, or you have some interesting graphics or a cool video that shows maybe a slow motion of that revolver, they might go, well, that's really cool, that's interesting. And again, they're going to pay attention and they're going to retain more, and hopefully they're going to keep coming back for more.
Certainly a key point. Everyone needs more training,
Yes.
but it is a darn hard thing to get them to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. In today's world too, it's almost like it's edutainment.
Yes.
So it's a little education, it's a little entertainment, and that's hard to compete with because we've got people who are used to immediate feedback. They're used to like high, fast, quick paced, quick things that are shiny, and we have to recognize that. And I think as an educator, we need to somehow either embrace that or utilize that without taking away from the content. And it can be done. And I think USCCA has really pushed that. We've been able to transpose educational background, methodologies, ideologies into the firearms world without losing the learning process and without losing the content of firearms. And that's kind of unique.
It is. And USCCA recognized the market shift before the market shift happened. It turned out, what do you people call women's? It turned out you were like half the new market of guns.
Yes.
And look how long it took holster makers to actually recognize that women might have a different need for a holster. I mean, they've been making holsters a long time.
And 20 years ago when I got involved with the industry for the first time, the landscape was very different as far as how women were involved. Like you said, they were like, women, what, they're here? It was kind
There's one over there.
No. And that's when we got the jokes about pink it and shrink it and things like that.
Right.
But I mean, within these last 2 decades, it's been amazing and eye-opening because now we've got competitive shooters, females, business owners, entrepreneurs. I mean, every part of the spectrum of the firearms community, all the way through advocacy, we've got females there and they've got a voice, and it's so awesome to see that happening where there's more choices and they're safe and good choices, not
good
just
choices.
pink it and shrink it choices.
Not cheese balls
choices.
So what do you think? We got 9, maybe 8 to 10 million new people coming in, more than I think has ever come into our culture at any one time. How do you think we're doing in adjusting to this flood?
It's an interesting perspective. I think now we can look at the firearms community and it looks so much like America. It doesn't look like, it doesn't look like just a boys club, or it doesn't just look like
Alabama in 1954.
Right. Thanks, I'm from Alabama. You fit that right.
Boom,
oh my gosh. But it's so awesome to see the changes and to embrace that, but also to maybe try something new and a little different to make sure that we're reaching people where they are. With those new gun owners, never touched a gun, they've probably never touched a gun magazine, they've probably not been to too many websites, they probably haven't done too much research, they might have bought out of fear or necessity.
Absolutely.
But hopefully, part of USCCA's goal within the next 5 years is to train 1.3 million of those people. And I think we're on the right track with events like this, with the resources that we have available, and with even our new reality check that we've been doing to make sure we're reaching people in those new ways I mentioned.
Where do you want to see it go?
Well, it's cool you say that. I'm just a mom with a gun. I love to describe myself. I'm just a mom with a gun, but I think that's what we need. That's what we need, those regular everyday people. It doesn't have to be law enforcement, it doesn't have to be military, it doesn't have to be someone who's hunted or grown up with guns. And that makes it more normal and more approachable across the board. So I love to kind of be a representation of that because they can look at me and go, well, gosh darn it, if she can do it, I can do it.
And thank you for saying publicly that you often carry 2 guns. I was recently told on the internet that I was psychotic.
No, you're not psychotic.
They said, under what conditions would you need 2 guns? I'm not sure, but I'd really like to have the other one if I need it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I am a mom of 3. I have 3 children. I mean, maybe that one firearm wouldn't do what it needed to under the circumstances.
Maybe so.
You never know.
Again, certainly worth the risk.
That's right. And it's easy to do.
It's easy. It is. Beth, thank you. As always, I'm glad to see you guys doing well. Glad to see you doing well.
Thank you.
And book. Got a good book.
Well, you know, we've got that women's curriculum, but we also have some family and children stuff coming up too. So be looking for that.
If you get some stuff for dealing with people with a beagle, let me know.
Okay,
I could do with that.
specifically? Wow, that's hyper specific and hyper focused, but we'll see.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today, but we've got a lot more from the USCCA Expo and Training event, and we've decided to show you them as triggered specials. So in the next couple of weeks, those will be going up in the block on michaelbain.tv where our specials live. There'll be 2 parts. You can see Mr. Janich and Mr. Pincus and a lot of other really great people, great gear. I'm Michael Bain. Of course, Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA, which has just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. You can find us on the aforementioned michaelbain.tv, on YouTube, where you can subscribe, on Rumble, where you can subscribe. And we'll see you next week, and keep your eye out for those 2 Triggered specials.